Welcome, I'm Uncle Earl with Uncle Earl News with news on weapons sales in America. FBI and ICS background checks for firearm sales. While this doesn't directly equal units sold, since one background check can cover multiple firearms, and some sales, like certain permit transfers, may not require an ICS, provides the best consistent indicator of trends over time.
Estimated background checks since January 2017, pre-pandemic years. 2017, 2019, 2017, over 25.2 million background checks were completed. 2019, according to PBS. By November there were 25.4 million checks, putting 2019 on pace to exceed 27 million, the 2016 record. So likely 27 million for the full year. Pandemic surge and aftermath. 2020, 2024, 2020, record-shattering spike. The FBI conducted 39.7 million background checks. Estimated 23 million firearms sold based on small arms analytics and forecasting data. 2021, the FBI's NICS performed around 38.9 million checks. 2022, Reddit-sourced estimates mention 20.8 million checks so far as of September 2022, though likely higher by year-end. 2024, the NSSF adjusted background checks totaled 15.2 million for the year.
Estimated actual sales revenue estimates for direct sales revenue, what guns and ammo actually sold. SCIP 2025 report, $52 billion in annual firearm industry sales. Of that, roughly $27 billion came from retail sales of firearms, including accessories, in 2022. With Fightaline's 2025 report, $12 billion in total firearm industry revenues in 2022. Retailers and advertising expenses are also included, but this figure seems lower and perhaps less comprehensive. Other estimates, $15.8 billion in U.S. gun industry sales in 2022, $28 billion in industry sales in 2022, with contribution to GDP around $50 billion. So actual firearm and ammunition sales revenue estimates for the U.S. in recent years range roughly between $12 billion and $28 billion annually, with the most comprehensive figures suggesting around $50 billion in sales when including accessories and broader retail channels. Profits and profit margins. While industry-wide profit totals aren't always public, we do have data from major manufacturers and Reddit contributors analyzing annual reports. Smith & Wesson SWBI had a net profit margin of around 7.7% recent trailing 12 months, though at its best it reached around 23.8% in 2021. Sturm, Ruger & Company RGR shows similar margin levels, roughly 7-8% net profit.
Welcome, I'm Uncle Earl. What happened to our guns laws? Here are some recent global statistics about guns, weapons, the arms trade. 1. Total arms trade value. Global exports, imports of conventional weapons reached us $111.6 billion in 2024. This is a record high since the end of the Cold War. 2. Top exporters 2024. The leading countries selling weapons, military equipment in 2024 were United States, $42.33 billion, 38% of global export; Russia, $13.75 billion, 12.3%; France, $7.70 billion, 6.9%; South Korea and Italy each around $5.69 billion, 5.10%. 3. Arms trade trends producing versus importing regions. Europe's arms imports rose by about 155% in the period 2020-2024 compared to the prior 4 years, largely driven by responses to Russian aggression. Ukraine saw its arms imports increase nearly 100-fold from 2015-2019 to 2020-2024. 4. Small arms and civilian firearms. There are over 1 billion small arms light weapons included in circulation worldwide. Of those, around 85% are in civilian hands. The U.S. alone has an estimated 393 million civilian-held firearms, which is about 46% of the global civilian total.
5. U.S. civilian gun sales. In 2024, roughly 16.17 million firearms were sold in the U.S. From January-April 2024, about 5.2 million guns were sold. Looking for funding opportunities to support work around gun violence prevention/community safety. Here's a concise, up-to-date menu you can act on right now with Michigan, Detroit items called out since you're in that region. Federal recurring programs to watch each year. BJA Community Violence Intervention and Prevention Initiative CVI-PI, site-based and intermediary grants for CVI programs. DOJ has continued CVI in 2020 to FY to 2 FY to 3 200M. New FY Cycles post on DOJ's program plan page.
Private/philanthropic, Everytown Community Safety Fund grants plus capacity building for 501c3 CVI orgs, rolling cohorts since 2019 $13.06 to 136 orgs. DOS Foundation Great Lakes Focus, supports research, policy, and CVI in the Great Lakes, accepts inquiries year-round. Board reviews APR JOLDEP, Fund for a Safer Future Pooled Fund, periodic or FPS for Gun Violence Prevention Research Advocacy 2025 or FP indicates at least 2 in total. Michigan/Detroit specific. Byrne State Crisis Intervention Program SCIP, Phase 4 MSP. Michigan State Police is administering grants to support gun violence intervention. FY to 0 to 5 window opens June 2, 2025. MSP Grants and Community Services Gun Violence Prevention Month update. MSP highlights current federal streams available to Michigan communities. Detroit CVI City Initiative and ARPA. City reports strong reductions in CVI zones and maintains CVI budget lands. Monitor for local RFPS or subawards. Recent DOJ awards in Detroit. Example, Forest Detroit received to ending 2020 for a CVI program signals active local partnerships.
It is really a shame the way we as human beings solve our problems with violence, weapons, guns. This is a many century old methods. It's time to input new ways of solving our problems and different. This is the year 2025, when mankind's supposed to be more intelligent, sophisticated, and better thinkers than the century old ways other than destroying our lives with violence. Maybe our leaders need to ask AI how to. I know Uncle Earl Fundraiser use AI for the betterment of mankind. Thank you for watching. Hope to see you soon.